Hello, Bidwell families, and welcome to this edition of the School Climate Update, in which I'll focus on the use of the N-word in the halls and common areas, a concern that has been recently brought to my attention by many students. To be absolutely clear, the use of the N-word in any form is unacceptable on the Bidwell campus. Even if it were just another bad word, it would still fall under the inappropriate in a professional or public setting category. As many of us know, however, the N-word is not just another bad word, but rather a term used to dehumanize, oppress, enslave, and brutalize African American people for centuries. The evil associated with it is unequaled throughout American history, and we dishonor both the victims and survivors of that evil when we use the word in any form. According to the African American Registry website, the origins of the term can be traced back to the Latin word for black. Regardless of its origins, the term devolved, perhaps due to mispronunciation by Southern slave owners. By the 1800s, the N-word was clearly used as a derogatory reference to black people, whom many slaveholders wanted to label as less than human in order to justify the horrific conditions to which black people were subjected to during slavery. The N-word was used to remind African Americans that they were viewed as inhuman, less than, unworthy objects at every turn. Of course, racial slurs have been used to victimize nearly every racial group throughout history, but no term in history has been used so extensively to intentionally dehumanize a group of people as the N-word. Besides a standalone slur, the N-word was also tacked on to other words to emphasize a uniquely negative meaning. The N-word stood first and foremost amongst an unprecedented number of other anti-black racial slurs, some of which became standard societal references for a time. These ugly words were used for a specific purpose, to keep black people in their place as second-class citizens at best and as subhumans at worst. In other words, the N-word wasn't just used to harass people. Rather, it was backed up by laws and codes designed to deprive African Americans of their human rights. According to several studies, between the 1880s and the 1960s, it is estimated that over 3,000 African American people were lynched. That means hung from a tree by a mob without a trial, simply for being black. And it's reasonable to believe that the N-word was one of the last words those poor people heard on this earth. I personally have friends who have lost loved ones because of that word. That's today in our current society. The violence and oppression associated with the N-word are still at work today. Please don't bring that kind of ugliness onto our campus by using that word for any reason. Now, if you're one of the relatively few students on campus who throw this word around in your casual conversations and text messages and social media posts, I hope you're already starting to feel convicted. But there's no doubt some people are justifying in their minds right now how they are using the word. However and whenever the N-word is used in any form, it carries with it the unspeakable hatred and oppression for which the term was originally designed to incite. But someone might claim, but it's just a word used in popular media and some musical genres. Okay, but there are a lot of things said and done in popular media and in music that are inappropriate for a public and professional setting. The N-word is one such example, again, at the very least. But I mean it like people say dude or man or fool, another might protest. Well, since we already have words for dude or man or fool, why do some people feel the need to replace those words with a version of one of the ugliest words of all time? The answer to that question might be something along the lines of, well, they're just trying to look hood or tough or gangster or cool or edgy by using the N-word like that. They're not trying to be racist. But trying to look cool on the backs of millions of human beings who were enslaved, oppressed, lynched, terrorized, and dehumanized under the banner of that N-word is, to be blunt, pathetic. When someone uses that word in a public or professional setting, it puts every other person who is at least somewhat aware of that horrific history on edge. For a non-black person of color to reply, "But it's okay, I'm not white," when challenged on the use of the word, is the definition of cringy. If you didn't know better, now you do. Please stop using that word in any form. And please stop asking for the pass or claiming that someone gave you the pass when you use the N-word in any form. I don't think you know how ridiculous and ignorant you look when you play that game. There is no pass. There is no mysterious database in the cloud of passes that all black people can access to cross-reference your past claim, whether you are claiming to be the giver or the receiver. If you're that desperate for attention, find another way, a less ignorant, a less pathetic way, at least when you're at school. So if you didn't know, now you know why the N-word in any form is unacceptable in any professional or public setting, including Bidwell Junior High School. In your car, in your room, in your backyard, none of my business. On or around our campus, it's absolutely my business. So please know that the line is very clear. It will not be tolerated. I get that teenagers like to experiment with profanity and language as a part of trying to find their identity and their independence, similar to how you try on different clothing styles to find the one you like best. Seeing how you look using the N-word to sound cool and edgy should be a style that you throw in the trash, right where that term belongs. It's not just a word, and it needs to go extinct the way so many other racial slurs have gone. Every time you use it, in any form, it just keeps that hatred, inhumanity, and ignorance on life support for a little while longer. If you hear your friends using the word, ask them to stop and tell them they sound ignorant, that they're better than that. If you're still choosing to stay in the, "oh, it's okay when I say it because" group, despite now knowing why the word is so vile, please know that you will receive appropriate consequences for contributing to a hostile, threatening, intimidating school environment, which is a suspendable offense, if we determine you to be using the N-word on campus. In closing, I'd like to introduce a new youth development opportunity at Bidwell Junior High School called the School Climate Student Advisory. Just like I meet with parents, community members, and staff to solicit their feedback on how we can continuously improve the Bidwell school climate, I need to hear from students. The School Climate Student Advisory is a way for me to hear about student concerns and ideas to make Bidwell the safest, most respectful place possible for each and every student. If we can identify trends like the use of the N-word in any form, then we can clean them up before they pollute our halls and our classrooms. Your primetime teacher has some application forms for you to complete if you'd like to be on the advisory. One student will be selected per classroom, and we will meet once a month during primetime to discuss school climate issues. I know we're winding down the school year, but I feel like now is the time to start this important student group, while we have the most mature and experienced junior hires we will ever have at a given point in the year. We will continue to develop this group next year, going through a nomination process again in August. Another reason why I want to start now is that we can identify the biggest areas for improvement heading into the 22-23 school year and start planning to address them now. School climate, the emotional weather on campus, is something to which each and every one of us contributes, either for the better or the worse. You're either an active ally for the Bidwell way, intentionally trying to bring out the best in the people around you, or at the very best, you're a passive bystander, allowing negativity to flow unchecked. Let's continue working together to make Bidwell the best possible junior high experience we know how to deliver for each and every person on campus. I'll see you in the halls.